Okay, so we finished inside of Illustrator. Again, this is part 2 for our typography, interface design and typography. Next, I'm going to go into, let me show you again what we're going to make. We'll make a little flyer for our cat here, and basically practicing our Photoshop skills so that we're able to build a interface inside of Photoshop, making sure we understand how to use text properly and duplicating things. So we're just practicing our Photoshop skills is basically what we're doing. I'm going to go into Photoshop, and the first thing I'm going to do is think about size. I think in some of my previous lessons I went under File, New inside of Photoshop. So once we open Photoshop, File, New, and inside there, of course, we have photos, we have print, art, illustration, we got web, we got mobile, we got film and video. So all these presets that are there to give you kind of like a good starting size. For today, I'm going to go with the print option since we're making a flyer for our cat that we might, or dog in this case. I'm going to change it to dog for our video today. And I'm going to use the basic letter 8.5 by 11 letter that's preset there. And we could just say create. So we have our blank page. If we zoom in and out, we got Command minus to zoom out, Command plus to zoom in. So we have a nice big artboard here. So let's put in, we can put in some text, put in some objects and things like that. Now, we did make some text inside of Illustrator. If you remember, in part 1, we made a text. So I can import that. So if you were working on interfaces and things like that, you can make a variety of artwork in different programs and then put them all together in another program. So in this case, I can actually import the Illustrator file right inside here. To do that, I'm going to go under File, Import, or Place, I'm sorry. I'm going to use Place Embedded here. And what is the importance that we have here? You got Place Embedded, Place Linked. The difference is the embedded, the thing I place in here will become part of this file. If you use Place Linked, it'll bring the artwork in from a different location, but it'll be a reference to the original piece of artwork. And the reason why you use why they have differences, one, of course, Place Embedded is going to make a bigger file because you're taking artwork and making part of this file. But the Place Linked is actually a good way of doing it in that you can go change it later, and if it's linked to this one, it'll automatically be updated because you've changed it somewhere else. Let's say we wanted to make the text blue. I go back into Illustrator, change the text to blue, save it, and then boom, it'll automatically be updated here because it's linked to it. So I'm going to use Place Embedded for right now because I don't want to have to deal with files that are linked to each other. I'm going to go to my desktop where I saved that file, the Scruffy. And I can use the AI file just fine, the Illustrator file, and hit place, and it's going to ask me, do I want to place it? I want to place it as a smart object, so it stays as a vector that I can then go and scale inside of Photoshop, and I'm going to hit OK. And it's fine. It's pretty big text there. Scruffy is lost. So we're just going to leave it there. So I'm going to use the Move tool and move it around here. Again, the first tool is the Move tool right here. Okay, if you looked at my sample, we had I had some art that went around the corners of the page, so let's put some of that in. Again, that is a kind of what we call a dingbat or a graphic that represents text. And so I'm going to go to the text tool here, and I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to click on the screen. And let's type in A for right now. Now it might be white, and you can't see it. You could change the color up here at the very top, and let's just put it as black right now, or dark color. Again, there is a color swatch at the top up here. If you click on that, it'll give you the normal color picker. When you're using the color picker inside of Photoshop, you can click inside of the window to choose your color. Now, we want to choose a character, right? I mean, if you saw what I downloaded off of DA Font, there were some characters I downloaded. So I'm going to go to the character option. If you don't see the character option inside of Photoshop, you can always get to a window by going under Window, Character. And under Window Character, it might be linked or tabbed over here. If you just see it over here and you want to drag it out, click on the word itself and drag out. Okay, so those shapes that I downloaded, let's click on the font option here and let's see if we can find it. There's the text with the paw. let's see. Oh, here's some animals. Pet animals. Oh, there's a dog. Okay, I found him. It was called Pet Animals. There it is. And so if we want to make it bigger, we can use the Move tool or change the font size. Either one. Let's change the font size and make it like 60. How about that? Or maybe even up to 72, which is 1 inch. And so there we go. We have our little dog here, and I'm going to put him in the corner here. And let's duplicate him again. So find your dingbats and make up some shapes here. So I'm going to put them in the corner there. Now I'm going to put them in all 4 corners. I'm going to zoom out a little bit by hitting Command minus. Now to duplicate, I'm going to use the Move tool and then of course the Option key on the keyboard. Option. If you hold the Option key down with the Duplicate tool, it'll duplicate. So I'm going to duplicate them over here. And then if I select both of them by drawing a box around them, notice how I hold my mouse down. Again, I'm using the Move tool. I'm going to draw a box by holding the left mouse down and dragging over both objects. So I've selected both of these dogs here. And I'm going to hold down the Option key on the keyboard. Again, the Option is the duplicate key, and I'm going to drag down below here. And there we go. So now I have 4 dogs in the corner there. So Scruffy is lost. Let's put in some text that says lost. So let's put in, let's go to text tool here, and I'm going to type in, oh, I don't want the crazy pet animals. I'm going to go back to a simple font. Let's go with the Arial bold here, and choose lost, and with some exclamation points. Oh my god, Fluffy is lost. Now if you want to change the font, again, in the character option there is a font size there, and you can change it there as well. Or if you use the Move tool inside of Photoshop, it does give you the ability to scale. Again, if you're using the Move tool, Show Transform Tools allows you to scale. Oh, nope, it doesn't. There it goes. Depends on how you click it. And let's put the word is in front of that too. So let's go back to the text tool and put our text in there. And let's put in is lost. How about that? Scruffy is lost. And then if we want to use the same size text, we can do that for our reward. And so I'm going to do the same thing there. I'm going to, oh, they do jump tools here. Again, just like we duplicated the dog here, we can duplicate this by holding the Option key down and clicking and dragging. And we're going to put a reward in there. So let's type in some text and say a 10,000. Oh, let's put a $sign in there. 10,000 reward. And let's change the color of that. If you highlight the text, you can go to this text box up here at the top, and let's make it a nice bright blue so people can see it. There we go. So Scruffy is lost, $10,000 reward. Let's go find a picture of Scruffy and put Scruffy in there. So the other thing we were talking about, a little bit about copyright inside of the DA font website. So let's go to the internet and see if we can find a picture of an animal that we can use. I'm going to use Flickr. And on Flickr.com, Flickr.com, we could type in, let's type in dog. And then inside the pictures, I'm going to go where it says any license here in Flickr. Again, type in your animal. Under where it says any license, I'm going to choose to one that says I can use commercially and use modification allowed, which means I can change it in Photoshop. So I'm going to click on that, and that'll allow you. And I will have a whole lecture on how to do copyright in this class. Okay, which one looks like a Scruffy to you? Ooh, this one looks like Scruffy right there. I think that one's a Scruffy. This one looks like a Scruffy right there. So if I click on it, you'll get our picture. Oh, it's not a very good picture. It's not a very high resolution. It's kind of blurry and not very nice. But I do think he looks Scruffy. Let's go back. Let's find another Scruffy. Oh, this one looks very Scruffy. Let's see if this one... Oh, that's a very good picture. It's a high quality. You can see it's not very blurry and pixelated. Of course, you could read the copyright information. Some rights reserved. Mostly, they say, please give me some, some credit or whatever. But it's a nice photo. To download, there is a download arrow in the right corner inside of Flickr. And if you click on that, it'll ask you what size you want. I'm going to do the largest size right now. at least large size right now. And I'm going to click on that, and it's going to ask me what you want to do. I'm going to have it open directly. You could save it on your computer and then open in Photoshop, but I'm going to say, at least I'm on a Mac right now, I'm going to say open with other, and I'm going to open it directly inside of my Photoshop so that I have it directly in there. You could do that, or you could save it on your computer and then say file open in Photoshop. Somehow get it in Photoshop. I'm just going to hit OK. And again, it opens in another tab, and we did talk about using multiple tabs before. So, I mean, this is a really good picture, but I want to just use part of it. I don't want to use the whole thing. So one way that you can kind of crop or not necessarily use the whole thing is I'm going to use the rectangle marquee tool, which is this one right here. I'm going to draw a box around the area that I want. Let's just do kind of this much, kind of his face right there. So I'm going to draw a box around the part I want, and I'm going to hit Command-C on the keyboard, or you can go underneath Edit, Copy right here. And then I'm going to go back to my untitled document. Remember, there's tabs at the top up here, tabs up here. And I'm going to paste it by hitting Command-V. And if it's too big or too small, you can use, again, the Move tool here to transform. You can scale it larger or scale it smaller. And you can move it around. So I'm going to move it around. There we go. Scruffy. There we go. Okay. So now, the last thing I'm going to do is add some text about what a dog is. And the reason why we're going to do that is just so we learn how to copy and paste from Wikipedia into Photoshop, as well as how to make a text area that has bounding boxes that you can use for wrapping text. Because a lot of what we're going to do in this class is we'll have columns of text inside of a columns for different columns, for example, and we want to make sure that the text is in a box that will wrap around that box. And so that's what I really want to talk about next. And so let's go and make that. So right here at the very bottom here, I'm going to make a text box that'll have text that'll wrap. To do that, I'm going to use the text tool. And I'm going to change the size just a little bit down to 36 or something a little smaller. Change the color. Let's go with a dark color. And instead of just clicking on the screen like we did when we entered the text before, I'm going to start over here, and I'm going to click and drag a box, something like that. And what it does, whoosh, that text is a little bit too big. I'm going to change it to even smaller. Let's go all the way down to 18. Maybe even smaller. Let's go down to 16. And then let's do left align. So again, this is font size here, and then this is alignment here. I'm going to do left align here. Okay, so we got left align 16, and that looks a good starting point. We might change the size even smaller. Let's go steal some text from Wikipedia and paste it into our Photoshop file here. To do that, I'm going to go to the internet. And let's find out what a dog really is. So we can go to Wikipedia. Oops. Wikipedia.org. And let's type in dog. And here it is. What is a dog? And so I'm going to click on the first sentence here, and so I'm going to highlight the first sentence, and I'm going to copy. To copy is, of course, Command-C on the keyboard, or you can go under Edit, Copy as well. And let's go back to our Photoshop, and then let's paste it in there. I'm going to select the text inside this box here. Select it all, and then paste, Command-V. And again, it seems a little big, so I might change the size. Now here's the problem. If I change the size here, it doesn't change at all. And you're like, oh, why didn't it change? Well, it didn't change because I didn't have the text selected. So you'll notice also that there is a way to make the box bigger. So maybe make the box, oh, there you go, and the text fits. You might want to get rid of the extra numbers and things that are inside there. They have references for inside there. There we go. That doesn't look too bad. Again, you can make the box smaller or bigger, and the text will wrap. So, make sure you know how to make a text box that wraps inside of Photoshop is what I'm looking for you to do. Clicking and dragging, practicing that, maybe changing some of the different settings for line spacing and things. But that looks pretty good. I think we're done. This is all I was really wanted you to learn. There's a lot of practicing of Photoshop, moving things, copying and pasting, duplicating. Those are the skills you need to do interface design, because that's basically what you're doing, is moving things around and sizing them and things like that. So let's save this. First thing I'm going to do is save as a Illustrator or a Photoshop file. So let's call this my pet flyer. And then the last thing I'm going to do is, of course, if I was going to print this or put this or send it to somebody, I want to use, of course, PDF. Remember, we used a crazy font here of this dog. So if I was going to send this to somebody as a Photoshop file, and you expect them to open up with this dog going to be here, it's not going to be there, because we use this as a font. Remember that? This character up here is a font, and we can see it's a font there. So one way we could avoid dealing with font problems inside of Photoshop, if you remember from Illustrator, we created objects out of our font, but here I can take and I can rasterize it. So to do that is underneath Layer, and you'll see there's one called Rasterize, and we can say Type, and what that'll do is convert that into pixels. Okay, so now that's no longer seen as a font, but as far as you really can't tell the difference there right now because the resolution is fine, but now this is not seen as type, it's seen as an object. Okay, now it still says A there, but you can see the actual layer change. So you might want to do that with each dog, or in this case I could save this as a PDF, so I'm going to go under File, Save As, and I'm going to change it to PDF as the format here. I can find PDF in there. I can't make a PDF in Photoshop. Oh, there it is. Photoshop PDF right there. And I'm going to call it Pet Flyer, and I'm going to hit Save. And yes. Save. 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 There we go. So hopefully you know a little bit more about type now.